Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And that's why we're honored to be with Matthew Powell, Executive Director of Autism Career Training. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
We have a lot of good to unpack, but let's start with a little bit of history and context, going back with Karen Blake and the Autism Education and Therapy Center. So give us a little bit of history.
Absolutely. So Karen and Steve Blake moved to Middle Tennessee in 2008, at the time with a young son with autism. They moved here from Atlanta and noticed in the Middle Tennessee area that there just wasn't the accessibility to services that there was in Atlanta. So Karen and Steve founded the Autism Foundation of Tennessee, and just a short time after opened up a DBA under the Autism Foundation of Tennessee called Autism Education and Therapy Center. Autism Education and Therapy Center is what we would consider a rote ABA center or behavioral therapy center, and that operated very successfully under the nonprofit up until 2018. In 2018, there was a lot of both federal and state laws and mandates passed, making those services billable for most major insurance providers. So at that time, Karen felt like she couldn't fulfill her status as a nonprofit anymore with that center, because all of a sudden, all of these, pediatric students with autism that needed those services desperately now had accessibility to those services. So Karen and I had met about 5 years prior to 2018. And when she split Autism ETC away from the nonprofit, there was another need, once again, in that autism community, in that kind of more young adult realm. So in Tennessee and federally, you age out of the school system with an IEP or an individualized education plan at age 22. And for those students aging out of the school system that weren't ready for that 30, 40 hour a week work environment, there wasn't a bridge to bridge that gap between the traditional school setting and the work environment. And that's kind of where ACT was born out of. We opened ACT in late 2019, early 2020, really right in the middle of COVID, which was terrible timing, but that's when the need was the greatest for that program. So that's just kind of a 2-second backstory. Karen now has a 22-year-old son that still comes to ACT. Karen is still very involved, the president of our board. So Karen and I partnered to get ACT open about 4 years ago now.
Give us a little bit of your backstory, because you yourself, special education, coaching, so you've got a storyline personally interwoven in this too.
Absolutely. So I always say that I was voluntold to go into special education. So I went to Brentwood High School. I was born and raised in Brentwood. I always say I was raised in Brentwood when it was still all horse farms. There wasn't anything there when I was growing up, but I was our football coach's office worker my junior year of high school, and they had a young man in the special education classroom that would lay down on the bus or lay down on the ground on the bus on the way to the bus every day, pardon me. And the two teachers in that classroom weren't able to get him up and get him moving back to go to the bus. So my football coach kind of voluntold me that I was going to go start helping them, and just fell in love with it, continued to transition to be their office worker, got really involved in Special Olympics and Best Buddies. So that was kind of the beginning of my story. And then outside of that, worked at High Hopes Development Center, which is a pediatric preschool and therapy center in Franklin, worked for Williamson County Schools for a number of years, worked for Murray County Schools as the assistant director of special ed, and then ultimately left there to come open ACT under the foundation with Miss Blake. While I was in Williamson County Schools, I know you hit on the coaching, so I coached football at Independence High School. We won a state championship, and then we're the runner-up the next year. And now, working at working at ACT, and then I teach some adjunct classes at Trevecca at night and on the weekends, and do some different things with the state task forces related to our work at ACT.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive in. ACT, Autism Career Training. And so, as you mentioned, it's a bridge, it's career, technical training, it's confidence building, independence. Like, there's a lot to unpack. Go ahead and start diving into the program.
Absolutely. So, like I said to begin with, that program was built to, bridge that gap between the school system and the work environment. And that work environment for every one of our trainees, which is what we call our young adults and adults that come to us, looks completely different. For some of those trainees, successful employment might be 30 or 40 hours a week. For some of those trainees, successful employment might be 3 to 4 to 5 hours a week. And, looking at what those strengths and weaknesses are, and ultimately playing into those strengths, but then also bringing those weaknesses up with it. And what we've had the glory of doing since we specifically work with that autism population is, looking at a lot of that sensory and social that tie into the work environment, and then also that other environment of independent living skills. So, being able to make up your bed, being able to cook for yourself, and some of those skills that we might take for granted are skills that are ever evolving for our trainees.
When you look at the 6 areas, you've got 6 outcome domains. Talk a little bit about those outcome domains.
Absolutely. So we partnered with Dr. Andrew Burnham as a curriculum consultant when we were building ACT kind of for the ground up. So I came on about 6 months before we ever actually opened ACT, and myself and Dr. Burnham wanted something that had research behind it and had been proven, but let's take it into a different domain. Let's see what that looks like. So ultimately, we found these 6 outcome domains that have lots and lots of research behind them in intervention for younger students with autism. And what we wanted to do was take those outcome domains and kind of manipulate them into the independent living skills, into the job environment, and see if we see those same outcomes. So I need 5 years of data to prove that, yes, they work the same as they do in pediatrics, or no, they don't. So I'm not quite at 5 years yet, but the trend lines and the data look like they're on the same route that they saw in that research in the pediatric realm.
Talk about the physical location. You've got 6 acres, a farm setting. So talk about the physical location.
Absolutely. So we currently have 2 locations now. So our first and main location is located in Nashville off of Holt Road. So right kind of Nippers Corner area of town, right kind of on that Nashville Brentwood line. And yeah, we have 6.5 acres there. We're in a farmhouse built in 1922. We have 22 resident chickens, 6 raised bed gardens, a basketball court, 4 guinea pigs, all kinds of, cool animal, outdoor kind of stuff going on. And that is, the big premise behind ACT is that hands-on learning. So, not looking at it like a traditional school system, not sitting at that table and learning rote arithmetic and rote math, but doing that hands-on learning and how some of those academic components tie into that, but looking at that hands-on piece.
Describe the other location.
Absolutely. So the cool part about the second location is in Franklin, almost right on the Franklin-Thompson Station border. And we're located on the same property as Brightstone. So Brightstone is another large nonprofit that serves the adult population in Nashville or in Franklin, Williamson County area. And what is really cool about this partnership is, that collaboration piece between both of us. So they opened up this property. It's like 130 acres at Christmas of last year. And we got brought in about 3 months ago. I guess we've been open at this location. So same kind of concept in an old farmhouse, still, the 6 outcome domains, same concepts, just another location that kind of serves that southern Williamson County, northern Murray, even a few Rutherford, because it has good proximity to 840. So
When you look at stories of impact, of testimonials, give us a couple of highlights. You don't have to name specific names, but talk about the success.
Absolutely. So I think one of the coolest things that I've seen is we meet with our parents at least every other month when they start. Then it moves to a little bit longer than that. But we had one of our families that I always call them the first five. So they were the 5 trainees that started when we opened ACT, and one of the first 5. And his parents said during that conversation, during that parent meeting, that they really wanted this trainee to be able to sit at a restaurant. It was hard for them to go out to eat, and that wasn't something necessarily in my teacher mind that I would have ever thought about working on. But we worked on it for about 2.5 years, and he was able to go to his sister's wedding and sit for an hour during the rehearsal dinner, go to his sister's actual wedding ceremony and sit, and then go to the reception and sit, and just seeing, the joys from those parents of something that, I would have never necessarily thought about, but, seeing how that impacted their life. And then another cool story is we have another trainee that works at public supermarkets in Franklin. And what we've been able to successfully do with him is there's so many jobs embedded inside of public. So he came to us bagging groceries, and now we've been able to expand his role inside of that supermarket multiple times, where now he's wearing the headset and doing lots of different things. So that's been really cool to see that evolution of his job in that environment.
Carry that into, and you alluded to it, but like for the parents to see the success that their children are able to have, the independence to experience a wedding with the family, like what sort of joy does that bring for the parents?
Absolutely. I think, it's something that all parents, including myself, I have young children, but, you want to see that joy, through your kids and, or, adults at this point, but through your kids, through your adults, and you just want to see them happy. That's the most important piece for any parent. And, ultimately, some of our trainees, came to us with some behavioral things going on, some speech things going on, and seeing that evolve where they're effectively able to communicate with their parents or with, the community members, and just seeing that, continue to evolve and continue to get better and be, even more integrated in that community. That's ultimately what we want, and, what those parents want. And now, they're able to tell you, instead of maybe getting upset that, they want chips out of the counter, or they don't want that for dinner, or they don't want to go there. And ultimately, that's what every parent wants, is what's best for their, whether it be a young kid, adult, anything in that realm.
So how can the community help autism career training?
Absolutely. So, there is, tons of places to help. So, the first one is volunteering. So, we're always looking for volunteers. Sometimes, those volunteers might be peer models. We have had quite a few companies come and, do landscaping work or help build the chicken coop. There's always tons of things to do with both of our centers. Are in, older properties, which is the way that we love it, but that also comes with more work associated with that. And then, of course, the other thing with nonprofits is, those donations and that fundraising piece, that grant piece. So between our, we charge a small private pay tuition, and then we provide some therapy services. That makes up between 40 and 45% of our budget yearly. So we're, on the hook, if you will, to fundraise, write grants for that other, 50 to 60% given the year. So we typically have, a few small fundraisers and one larger fundraisers, and then we're constantly, writing grants. We were able to successfully write a grant to the Predators Foundation, which expanded one of our social enterprises, which is a screen printing shop. So now we have a job environment that our trainees can work inside of the center that wouldn't have been possible without those donations. So
yeah, very cool. So wrap up with where we can go to get plugged in, take the next steps, learn more. So website, social media, where do we go?
Absolutely. So we have, our largest social media is Facebook and Instagram. Both of them are just at Autism Career Training. Also, check us out online, autismcareertraining.org. We are in the process of kind of redoing our website to add the second location and add some up-to-date information. But we try to put out, anything fun that's coming up, videos of our trainees doing screen printing, doing different things with our other community partners. You're also, always call or email info@autismcareertraining.org. And yeah, we'd love to talk to you. We love to partner with different businesses, partner with different nonprofits. That's kind of what makes the world go round. I always say none of these nonprofits are in competition. We're all on that same road of, wanting what's best for people with disabilities.
Yep. Collaboration is the key to success for sure. So the website
Absolutely.
again, autismcareertraining.org. So autismcareertraining.org. Matthew Powell, Executive Director of Autism Career Training. Thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.